Two, three. So here we are. This is episode 4 of the Tennessee Titans UK Fans podcast. I'm joined once again by James and David. Guys, thank you for joining me. Tonight we're going to discuss the post-draft discussions, really, we're going to go with today. So obviously we're going to start with pick number 1 because it was obviously the most important pick. It was the first overall pick, not just for the Titans, but for the whole draft. So Cam Ward, he's been chosen. We saw the press conference with Moon giving him the number 1 jersey. So, James, I know you've got a few things you want to say about Cam Ward. I'm not if they're negative or positive. So, do you want to let us know what your thoughts are about the number 1 pick?
Yeah, so it's a pretty easy one. Whoop whoop, all aboard the Cam Ward hype train. Yeah, fully down with this. I am in love with this pick, not only because of what he's done at college and how he's held himself throughout the whole process, but it's just the little things that I really liked. The in the draft in the green room, he wasn't in for very long, but he comes out and he's just wearing a nice plain suit, one little chain. He just seems so humble. He's just all about the football. And you've got other players that are all their big diamond chains, they've got all the bling on, they're doing all the antics. He just walks out, does his job, and I just feel that it's just the right mentality of a player we need. The the other thing I disliked with the whole number 1 pick was the coverage, man. It was
Oh,
just
yeah.
we picked him, and then it was all talk about Sanders. Like, give the guy some credit. He was a number 1 pick. He was a number 1 pick for a reason, and yet the TV just covered Sanders. But no negatives. It's Cam Ward, and I am very, very happy about it.
Do you think the Jags traded up as we did our pick just to try to take the limelight? Because it was the Jags were that traded up, weren't it? And I kind of thought,
Yeah.
hang on a second, they were suddenly talking about the Jags and, we have to do the trade. And it's like, hang on, this guy's got to come out and do his little speech and get his jersey and enjoy himself. And he'd lost it for a second. What's going on there? Was that done on purpose, or do you think that was just bad timing for the TV coverage?
I think
A
it
bit
was.
of bad timing.
Yeah, I feel like they got all of it wrong. There was just they were talking over his thing with Shador Sanders, which went on for 3 days non-stop talking about him. Um, and then the Jags doing their thing. It just felt like it felt really underwhelming. Being a Titans fan, I think we're kind of used to that. We're just the forgotten team in the whole of the NFL. But yeah, it was just bad timing, I think. Or I think they just spent so much time talking about Sanders that the trade came
Run
in and
out.
they're like, oh, something new's come out, and they just bypassed the whole thing. But yeah, probably just bad case of timing. But I think we got our own back on them later on in the draft.
Yeah, is that when we traded it up, didn't we, as well? I can't remember now.
No, it's when we picked the wide receiver in the 4th round. But we'll come to that later, I reckon.
Oh yeah, Dyke, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I did think, you just mentioned there. Someone's put on the screen now. You mentioned there just a second ago that we're the Titans, or we're used to not getting probably the green with the TVs and that. I do think because there's obviously been talk about we're going to be changing jersey this year. And this is slightly off topic with the draft here because there's a quote from Moon saying that we're not going to wear the Oilers jerseys, and you kind of think, well, has the team and the franchise realised we need to be more of a brand now? And are they changing things a little bit? I mean, given the number 1 jersey, I mean, you don't very often see retired jerseys come out again. So have they suddenly realised, well, maybe we've got to do things a bit differently? Are we now going to see the Titans be pushed forward? We've got this number 1 pick. We're going to push him forward, and we're going to push I don't like using the term franchise, but it is really. Are they going to push the franchise forward and try and kind of make it more of a brand? Because Nashville is a great city, everyone knows it across the world. We don't seem to be pushing it. So I do wonder, post draft now, are they going to be, especially with this new stadium coming up as well, are we going to start pushing the Tennessee Titans more I don't like the word brand either, really, but more, yeah, as a brand as well as a football team, and try lure these fans in? I don't know, but we'll see what happens. We're never too sure what happens at the Titans, are we? Really, it's kind of we sack the manager next because they like just changing things around, don't they? But behind the scenes, it looks quite good.
Well,
So obviously,
I think the thing is that you've got to have results on the field. It's pointless thinking of we're going this way and that way. We've got to get some winning seasons, really get into the playoffs, and hopefully win a Super Bowl. That's the way the Titans will be recognised by other teams. If they're languishing with 7 and 9 seasons, won't get anywhere.
Well, that's it. It's a winning team makes a difference. It's like the Chiefs, they've gone on a run recently, and everyone knows that they are a bit more now because they've won the Super Bowl a few times, and people like success, don't they? Nobody likes to support a team that never wins or doesn't have a winning season. So that is the most important thing. But it would be nice to kind of have the brand out there a bit more and then pushing it a bit differently. But that's slightly off topic from the draft, so I do apologise for that. So obviously we did have 8 other drafts at the picks at the draft. So obviously we had in round two we had pick 52. I'm just reading my notes here. But I mentioned this guy today in our previous pod, and I kind of thought one way I don't want him to sign him because I can't say his name, but I'm going to say it anyway. Is it Alufawami Alageo?
Pretty good.
I believe on something else, his nickname was Femi, so that's probably Femi is
Oh yeah.
but I think he likes to be known by his surname now. So um,
Okay. So do you guys know much about him? He's obviously an edge. He's come from UCLA. Do you guys know much? I mean, a couple of seasons ago, I really got into college football. Then last season, I kind of drifted away from it a little bit. So I've not kind of been in there. So I'm not too sure kind of with these guys. Do you guys know much about this edge we've signed?
well, yeah, he was actually an inside linebacker for most of his career at UCLA, and then last season he moved to the edge rusher, and he led the team with 13 and a half tackles for loss and 4.5 sacks. So you think he's only learning his position, and what the best is yet to come.
Oh, good. Well, yeah, hopefully he's the best. The best is to come because obviously that's what we want when they move from college to the NFL. James, do you have any thoughts on the edge we've signed or?
It was one of those. It's one of those confusing ones because it's another one of those picks, one of the Tennessee Titans' famous picks, where we pick a player who is not a complete player, and we've taken a punt on him, and we're taking a risk that he's going to bring some sort of production. Like 4.5 sacks is not a lot, um, but he did. Well, I've noted down that he was fourth in the Big Ten league for 14 tackles for loss. So there is something there. There's talk of in one of his interviews after the combine, he was talking about that he's familiar with the system that we play. After talking to our defensive coordinator, Wilson, I think his name is, uh, he say he's very similar. They play a similar system at UCLA. So hopefully, and I think what the Titans are hoping for is that he will just slot straight in, probably be a replacement for Landry, and hope we can get that production up to Landry levels, if not higher, hopefully higher. But I did notice that he in the Senior Bowl he played defensive end and got 2 sacks. So he seems to be a player you can move across the whole line as a plug and play, and he can do a reasonably good job in those different positions, which could be quite useful. That he could line up in different positions and still do the job basically.
Yeah, sometimes I find in American football, you get players that play a position, and that's it. You can't stick them anywhere else. They've got to play that position. So yeah, having a bit of flexibility. It's a long season, lots of injuries can happen. To be able to slot into other positions is something every team really needs, isn't it? So it's not just the Titans; it's every team needs that. So when we go on to round three, we had pick 82. So I'm reading my notes here. This one's easy to say. So it was safety Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State. Once again, guys, do you know much about Kevin Winston?
Well, like we will see in a lot of other picks, he suffered a serious injury in ACL in 24 after 2 games I think he played. So he's obviously recovering from injury at the moment. But he had a good season in 23 and really was thought after that he could be sort of a high second round pick. Um, we have to hope that he will return to the fitness level he had in 23. And I expect he will be the replacement they hope to for Hooker.
Yeah, he seems it's one of those picks that we're again the typical Tennessee Titans pick that we could have an absolute steal on our hands of picking a guy at 82 that should have gone in the top 50. Or we've got a player that could be like Caleb Farley and just be injured the whole time and never see the field. You'd like to think, well, obviously we took a risk with Simmons. He had an ACL injury before he came to us, and look at what he's done. And one of the most dominant forces. So hopefully this guy can turn it on, really.
Yeah,
I'd
it's
like to
always
hope.
difficult when they've had these bad injuries. You kind of you say it's a punt, but they've been obviously checked over medicals, they've been pass fit. Obviously, someone's going to pick them up. But like I say, you just hope you bring him in, and like I say with Simmons, he's come good. He's been a very good leader at the Titans. He's done very well over the last few years. But at the same time, we've seen like the Farleys where it's gone completely wrong. So, like I say, when it's such a high pick, it's more of a gamble. If he was like, one of the lower picks, you kind of think, oh, okay, fair enough, he's worth a punt at that. But then at the same time, you don't want somebody has to pick them and get what they can, get what is needed out of them. Then you don't get that yourself. So it's difficult, isn't it? So we'll go. The next pick in round four, we had pick 103, was a wide receiver, Chimere Dyke, I think is you say his name, who'd come from Florida. Um, Again, does anybody know much about him? Because I've not been with it, so I do apologise.
Well, he did 4.34 for the 40-yard dash of the combine, which was drawn third fastest. So obviously he's someone with a lot of speed, and you'd hope that they're going to use him to take quick passes, and go to the house and be able to break containment and take, for long throws. But again, he had an injury in 24, which is a concern as well. I think he had a knee, was it a knee injury or something? But so he's a bit of a concern again.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
it's just
just had a
another.
child appear in the background, so just sorry, carry on.
I think it's just another fast threat. We need speed on our offense. Like we've really had is Ridley. Um, and having this guy just adds that extra level of speed that we desperately need, even if it's just dragging cornerbacks and safeties away, like splitting the coverage, just offering that extra threat. So I'd like to think this guy would be a direct replacement for Westbrook Akine as a deep threat.
Oh,
You
I thought you were going to say Traylon Burks there as a replacement. Obviously,
no,
obviously not. Obviously he must be a starter next season. So obviously your sights are set on Burks still being with us.
I don't know. I don't know about Burks. I think we've signed a lot of wide receivers to. It's only going to increase competition, really. But there's a lot of time that this guy's got punt return experience as well. We need players on special teams. We were dreadful last year on special
Oh yeah,
teams.
bad.
So it's having someone that's got speed that can run on special teams is what we desperately need. But again, it's just someone that can line up who can take defenders away that will get people busy. You'd think that the fastest player would probably get covered by the best cornerback. You'd like to think, just for speed wise,
Mm.
which then leaves it open for Ridley and tight ends to get coverage or to get the catches. So hopefully it could be like a little distraction. But it seems like a good pick. If he can stay fit, he seems all right. I did look into his stats. He did have a better 23 year than he did in 24. Obviously, if David said with the injury. But yeah, I think he'd be quite good.
I mean, I don't think we've had for a long time a person who can run that fast. So hopefully, and one thing we have lacked is a person with real speed. I mean, you said Westbrook a keen replacement for, but he was nowhere near that fast.
Yeah. I was just meaning as really as the deep
Yeah.
threat, as he was our kind of deep threat last year. This guy could hopefully be that deep threat this year, being able to get all the way down the field. Cam Ward's got a bit of a cannon. And if anything, if Will Levis stays, we know Levis has got a cannon of an arm. So you never know if Levis stays, you've got those trick plays. Just throw a bomb down the field for this guy and just be like, he's somewhere down there. Just throw it down there for him to go and get.
Well, I see. If you've got a guy who can get there before everyone else, and like I say, with those arms being thrown, they're there waiting for the ball. So we saw that with Akini last season. He was there at the bottom waiting for it. So yes, a bit of speed and a bit of pace is what we need because we keep signing these kind of veteran wide receivers, and they're not, you know, I saying they're not as fast. Wear and tear from the game's probably getting to them, so they're not as fast to get down there. So you do need a youngster who can just literally bomb down there and catch that ball. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him there. So again, so we'll go on to the next pick. So we've got again, so we have three picks in round four. So this was another one in round four. Pick 120 was tight end Gunnar Helm from Texas. Once again, I'll leave it to you guys to educate me on him if you can.
You want to go, James?
Yeah, I mean, I like him. I think this was a very good pick. Uh, Texas are one of the better teams in the college, and so you'd like to think he stayed with them for 3 years, that he would be pretty good at his position. He's he's not the most athletic, so he's not like a speed demon as a tight end, and he's probably not going to be a Kelsey type of player. But there's with the regards, he's very good at pass blocking. He's shown improvement in run blocking. So you're thinking he could be something similar. I mean, this is high ceiling of like a Kittle. So someone that can do a bit of all round. But let's say he's done well. He put up some good stats last year. He seems solid, very good at contested catches. But he's obviously without speed. But I've got noted that I was reading some stuff about him that he says that he's quite a clever thinker. So what he lacks in speed and like his route running, he can get away from players and make the catches. So he seems quite a good player. Although I did note I was watching some footage, and people have said that he's not as athletic as some tight ends, but he put up a good hurdle against Texas A&M. So he obviously can. He's obviously got the moves, as they say.
Well, as you were just saying there, you get clever players, and they may not be there physically to be fast enough to beat somebody to the ball, but yet they're able to somehow get ahead of people because they're like their clever play. They take that stride a second before. You see it a lot in soccer quite often. I always think Harry Kane. He's a player who's got no pace whatsoever, but he's always through on goal and always scores. So yeah, if he's got that kind of brain and he can get ahead of people, then yeah, that's obviously going to help get the ball first and obviously get the Titans the touchdowns that we need. David, anything to add to that one?
Well, first thing you got his physique. He's 6'5" and weighs 241 pounds.
Was
So
bigger than
you've
me.
got to love that size. And because one thing about Kelsey is he's not fast, but he always seems to be open. Yeah, and you think, how do people miss such a big man? I mean, last year he had 60 receptions, 7 touchdowns. And what was most amazing is that when quarterbacks targeted him, they had a rating of 137.5, which is impressive. So hopefully he will be the first tight end we've really had consistent play from since Walker in about 2017.
Right, so we're going to the next draft pick then. So again, this was our last pick we had in round four. So it was pick number 136 of the draft was the wide receiver. Get this right. Alec Ayomano. I don't know how you say that still. I think it's come from Stanford. Do you know, you wouldn't believe that at the weekends I'm a football commentator and I've got to try to get names right all the time live on the camera, and yet I'm struggling here tonight. So I've seen a lot worse names than this. And I really do struggle. So I do apologize, guys. But again, so another wide receiver. So that's two wide receivers we took in the draft. Plus we signed was it Lockett from the Seahawks recently as well. So there's quite a few wide receivers. Lots of tools here for Cam Ward. So what do you guys think Ayo is going to bring to the table for us?
Well, he's Canadian and he transferred to a school in the USA, and he was offered places at various other ones before choosing Stanford, where he was for 2 years. He's a little bit slower than the first receiver we took, but he's only a tenth of a second he did in the combine slower, so he's pretty quick as well. So that really, doubles the level of players we can get on the field with speed. So one can come in and one can come out, and we keep up the level of speed. So I think things look good for us in that respect.
Yeah, he's a
James?
he's a physical wide receiver. He which could be a problem for Traylon Burks because obviously that's what Traylon Burks was. He was supposed to be that big physical wide receiver, but it seems like a blade of grass in the wrong position might injure him again. So this guy could be good competition. There has been issues with drops. I did note that's one of his biggest flaws is that he does have an issue with drops, but that could be sorted out in the NFL when you've got good coaching, bit more repetition, and if you've got a good quarterback putting it into your hands, it's it'd be hard to drop it. But this is the one. This is the pick I loved the most, and I feel like it was our get our own back on the Jags. And that's because in 23, he played Colorado and put up 294 yards against Travis Hunter. So they drafted up to pick Travis Hunter. So we picked the wide receiver that tore him up, took him all around the pitch. I read it. 13 receptions, 294 yards, and 3 touchdowns with Mr. Travis Hunter, the top prospect, covering him. So yeah, that's a good one, I feel.
Well, it'll be interesting like when we play them, whether they'll go up against each other, and hopefully we come out on top of that one. Be quite nice, wouldn't it, against the Jags?
Definitely.
Um, so we only had one pick in round five, so obviously only one pick there. We took his offensive guard Jackson Slater from Sacramento State. Um, yeah, I'll put the floor to you guys again because you guys have obviously been looking for this more than I have. So, David, do you want to go
Well,
on that one?
he was in Sacramento State. During the last year, he 9 games he played, he didn't allow a sack or a quarterback hit. So that's pretty promising. Again, he had a knee injury at the end of the season, missed the last couple of games. But I think at the moment, obviously, he's a likely backup because Skoronsky is obviously he's that side, but maybe he'll be switched over to the right hand side and look to be playing in 26.
Well, we do have apparently one of the best offensive line coaches. So anyone to take with those sorts of stats, he's obviously got the talent. You'd like to think he could make the transition to any sort of position. Obviously, Skoronsky does has that position and has looked solid, but this guy looks like a good depth piece. It seems like a bit of a project player that he seems very, very good. I don't think he's starter just yet, but if we've picked a guy that could be our hopefully starting right guard for years to come, maybe next year or even towards the end of this year and next year, we could have a really, really good O line for years to come, which is something we've not really thought about as a Titans fan for a long time of having young players all on the O line that are very good. So fingers crossed that
Well,
he
that's it. I
does.
mean, the good thing is because the team's in, I wouldn't say such a mess, but it's in such a good rebuild that these players are going to come in. And I think they are going to see a lot of game time as well. So they're going to get time to develop. I mean, when you're drafting, when you're doing slightly better, you're not bringing players in to start. So I think a lot of these players are going to get plenty of game time, fingers crossed. So they'll be able to develop. So we go then to round six. We have two picks in round six, and we had cornerback Marcus Harris from California. Do you guys have much on him?
I don't really know much about this guy. I did read that he's pretty quick. So we seem to go with a lot of quick players this year, which is nice. Uh, Sometimes we just need a little bit more than speed, but having someone in the backfield that is quick, that can cover a lot of ground against the quicker wide receivers would be good. Again, this is probably more of a depth piece. We do seem to be quite set at the cornerback positions. So I say could be special teams, could be a depth piece. Um, but yeah, seems all right. There was a lot of chat of him being quite a good player. He's good at getting into coverage and breaking up tackles. He's small, but he's quite athletic. I think he scored quite high in his athletic scores. So he looks all right. I say it's more of a one that we can just. I say that when you get in that sort of picks late on in the draft, it's a depth piece, and we'll just see what happens. Hopefully, it'll turn out good.
David, any thoughts on Marcus Harris?
Not anything to say about him. I think really at the moment he's probably going to be looking at one of the sort of big part players. He probably won't be starting unless we have injuries this year, certainly. But maybe next year and the year beyond that, he will start to get more and more time.
Right, so that brings us to our last draft pick. So it was pick 188, where we got running back Kyle Mullins from Michigan. Obviously, we do like a good running back in the Titans franchise. So, do we think he's going to be any good? Any thoughts on him? Again, I have no notes on him, so I do apologise.
I do. I think he is going to be good because he actually was a linebacker for the first 4 years, and then or a bit before the last season, he was converted to running back. So he's only had 1 year, and I think he didn't. He put up from Michigan, which is a tough division, 943 yards at an average of 5.1 and 12 scores. So you have to think with more playing time, he must get better as a running back.
Yeah, he put up some good stats for 1 year as a running back. He offers that unique thing that we don't have at the moment in our running back room is physicality. He's a big lad, and it's just a power back that we've not had since Henry left. Pollard and Spears are a bit smaller, a bit more nimble. But this guy could be if he's good enough, there's no reason why he won't be used in like the red zone and getting like those small like push shoves and stuff, the tush pushes they want to call it, but those 1 yard gains that we need, he could be quite effective in those moments.
Right, so that was all the picks we had in the draft. So, what are you guys rating the draft compared to previous years? I know obviously it's not been great over the years with the drafts. Do you think this is going to be a good draft? Do you think we're going to be able to build on this? Do you think it's a high graded draft? I was reading on the website yesterday, people were saying kind of it was quite a high score draft. Do you guys agree with that? Do you think that's where we are, or do you think it's still lots more work and lots more players needed to rebuild the team?
Well, I think it was a good draft, but obviously you'll never know until probably 2 years down the road as to who's going to show. Because I think a lot of years passed, and you think, well, that's quite a good draft, and then it's been disaster certainly 2021 and 22. That we just didn't get anybody out of the draft at all. The last 2 years have been reasonably good. But there's a lot in there. If things go the right way, we can be very positive about.
Yeah, if all those picks hit, we've got ourselves a very, very good draft class. I've People seem to rate it. It's one of those ones that on paper, and if they perform to the levels that people expect them to, we've got a very good draft class. We have got a very Tennessee Titans type of class where we've picked players that are coming off injuries, are a bit of a punt. That could be a steal. So it'd be interesting to say. The one I'm happy about, and we didn't pick him, but he was the undrafted, and that is what's his name now? Xavier
Xavier.
Respiro. I think that is an absolute steal.
Was he at Miami with Cam Ward?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he was his number one wide receiver, put up over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. He was a number one pick, set records, I think, in 23 for the number one wide receiver out of Miami, then beat it again in 2024. He's not fast. He's not a fast guy, but he's reliable. And if they've got that chemistry already, that is
That's
an
that's exactly what I was thinking. If they got the chemistry, it'll help Cam Ward probably settle as well. He's got a guy you can aim for. Hopefully on a training pitch they can do it, then get on the pitch and do it. But like I say, it is quite a big jump from college to the NFL. I'm messing on my screen there. Yeah, it is quite a big jump from college to NFL. So can he jump with Cam Ward? Is he good enough to do that? Obviously, we'll soon see. But yeah, bringing him, I did see online when people were saying that they signed him, and I saw he came from Miami. I thought, well, yeah, it kind of makes sense that we've got somebody to come with Cam Ward, kind of help, well, A, help him settle, and B, if there's chemistry there, why wouldn't you take him? I mean, if his stats were that good, I'm quite surprised nobody else picked him in the draft. But obviously, would say they know what they're doing, but you're never too sure of the draft. But teams know what they're doing or not. But yeah, if he's available, why not take him?
Well, yeah, amongst what he did, he was the first receiver from Miami to ever do two consecutive 1,000 yards. So that's obviously, and there've been some really good receivers from there. I think at the combine he had a slight hamstring, so he didn't run nearly as far. I mean, I'm not saying he's exceptionally fast, but he ran rather slowly because of that. But when you see some of his games he's played, that he looks quite quick. Certainly over the first 10 yards, he's very quick and he's very maneuverable. I mean, I think he could be a really good player.
I
Yeah,
think it's
definitely.
they've got him right. So just a couple of key dates for the off season that we need to keep an eye out for. I saw that I think it was Jim White tweeted these earlier. So obviously, so we've got the rookie mini camp, which is the 9th and 10th of May. So that's what less than 2 weeks away. That's going to happen. So we're going to see a bit more action on the field with the Titans. Got the OTAs starting on the 27th of May, running to the 5th of June. So again, guys getting back in the building, training. Then I think the official mini camp for the guys is the 10th and the 12th of June. So obviously, so although the season's so far away, it's nice to see some dates in the diary that we can kind of start to see what's going on with the Titans and see the players get back into training. Uh, it's always good to see them with like the pre leading up to it, although is it yes, August when the season starts, and we've still got an awful long time to go. So obviously some key dates there that I noticed today, which is quite good for us to have. What else do we want to talk about? Because I mean, I was going to talk about Will Levis because I know Mike Bugsoni, I had to write his name down because I cannot remember his name. Obviously, they said they weren't looking to trade him. Now, are they trying to not trade him so other teams come and try take him so we don't miss out much, or are we actually going to give him this go as the backup quarterback? Do you guys think anything on that?
I don't think they'll get a trade at the present time. The only way they'll get a trade is in pre-season if they let him have half an hour in each of the three games and he performs well. Then it's possible, maybe not, he might be taken like Malik Willis was last year, or else they may get someone gets injured halfway through this or the beginning of the season. They may come knocking on the door, wanting his services.
I think it'd be useful to keep. If he had, he's a young quarterback, offers a competition to Cam Ward. He's, I mean, obviously, I'm one of these people that was quite very much in the I like Will Levis camp. Uh, but if you've got a good solid second round, like a QB2, that's great, isn't it? If we can get something good for him, then even better. But it's one of these things like when Malik left and went to Green Bay and Love got injured, he started playing really, really well, didn't he? And he just got that feeling that everyone's got this hate for Will Levis and he'll go somewhere else and he'll start performing really well again. But I think he's
I
a good
I think
quarterback. He just
when you
always
when
just
you watch him, he does look good though. He's got like I say, he's got the arm, he's got the swagger. He can. We know he can throw the ball, but then at the same time, we know he can throw the ball straight to the opposition. He throws the ball out of play, in the wrong places. So it's almost like he's. I don't know whether 2 seasons ago he kind of looked really good, and you think, yeah, this is the guy. And did the hype get to him? The mayonnaise advert. Think he was doing all that kind of stuff, and did he start to believe his own hype? I mean, what is let him down in the end? I'm not too sure, but like I say, you can see he's got something there, and I think if we traded him elsewhere, like you say with Willis, he'll go. Somebody will get injured. He'll get in the team, and he'll probably perform well. And then we'll have all the Titan fans kicking off again, saying, "Oh well, why did we let him go? He was a great player, and we're back to square one again." Well, we're trying to get Cam Ward up to speed with the NFL, so it'd be interesting to see what happens with that. But I think, I'd like to see him stay, like yourself, James. I'd like to see him be given the opportunity to push for the starter. Obviously, Cam Ward quite clearly is going to be the starter for the Titans, but if he doesn't start very well and doesn't play well, then anything's possible, isn't it? But it'll be interesting to see. I don't want to see him leave, but I think it's writings on the wall, I think, for him, unfortunately. If he doesn't leave this season, next season he's definitely gone. So, as
I
mentioned,
don't want him to leave. I mean, I think he can be a backup. I mean, he's quite adequate, but whether he'll in the future want to stay as a backup here, I don't. Probably not anyway, even if he has a successful time.
Well, that's it. He's still quite young, isn't he? So I think
Yeah,
if he's a bit older, you'd say, oh, maybe he might hang around, but he's young, and if he's still hungry,
yeah.
he'll push elsewhere. So, and I think if he, it's always difficult when you're a starting quarterback and you get back to the backup quarterback, knowing it's hard to push forward again. You kind of have to leave because the writing's on the wall at the franchise you're at. You kind of can't stay. So it is quite difficult, I think.
I think the thing we've got to remember is looking at players like that Bryce Young at Carolina was that there was a pressure to become a starter. And he didn't perform very well in his first season. And then he got dropped and then put up. Then he came back in his second season. He's actually started playing quite well and he's now the future of the Panthers. So we've got to be careful with Cam Ward, not expect miracles to happen straight away. So having someone like Will Levis who knows the NFL now, who's kind of up to speed. I know he's got a mistake in him, but he's always useful to have that player that can kind of take the pressure off him a little bit.
Well, yeah,
Like,
he's had the games and he's made the mistakes as well. So he can kind of hopefully guide Cam Ward and kind of tell him, don't do what I did, kind of thing, which would be quite nice. But you'd like to think when they're in competition, they're still buddies working together, they're still teammates. So they kind of bounce off each other. Would be quite nice, wouldn't it?
yeah, definitely. He must know that if he's dropped from the Titans, he's probably never going to be a starter anywhere unless there's an injury, like an injury crisis in the QB room. So he might hopefully might resign himself to being a QB2 and know that's where his career is going to be. And there's been some people who made some really good, successful careers as QB2. What was that guy who took Eagles after Wentz got injured, took him to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl with him. Nick
Well, that's
Foles.
it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, even as a backup, they can still have a good career and make some damn good money out of it, which is, quite impressive, isn't it? More money than I make in my job. So they say even as a backup, and it's still, getting paid $2 million a year just to kind of keep fit and be there just in case. It isn't a bad career, it is it? I wouldn't mind if somebody offered me $100,000 a year just to go to the gym. It would be quite nice, wouldn't it? Here you go, Dave. Here's a load of money. Go to the gym and keep fit. Oof, and retire at 35. It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Well, I
But
think he does want to start though somewhere.
well, that's
So
it.
if
That's
he
got to
goes
be.
somewhere where he thinks he has an opportunity to start, he certainly wants to go there.
Right, so I think we're kind of running out of time here because we've got a bit of a time limit with the podcast. So, should we catch up again maybe in a week or so once we have a bit more action going on with the Titans and a bit more to talk about?
Yep.
Hopefully, we're going to see some players signing soon, and some more free agency and players coming and going, which are quite good. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens coming up in the next few weeks. So, guys, James, David, once again, thanks for joining me. Obviously, we'll get this uploaded soon. We'll get it shared everywhere so people can watch it and enjoy it. Obviously, just a reminder to everyone, obviously, the podcast is going to be on Spotify and YouTube. Obviously, if you want to come join us on the Facebook page, it's Tennessee Titans UK fans. You'll see James and David are on there quite often talking. We do have the Twitter account, Tennessee UK, TikTok, Instagram, uh, yeah, everywhere, I think. So just search for us, you'll find us. Come interact, come say hello, because, David and James don't bite. James can be a bit passionate at times, obviously, as we all know, which is good because we want fans to be passionate. So please come join us, have a chat with us. As the season leads up, I know it's a bit boring. There's not a lot going on, but there's plenty to talk about. We can enjoy it. So, guys, we'll leave it there. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you all again soon.
There we
Yeah.
are.